Good evening, Moore, and welcome. Tonight we're going to be venturing into the depths of the woods because there are cabins here waiting for our arrival. I hope you're ready because it's time to get comfortable and let the darkness take control. Paintings in a completely remote part of the Appalachians. One time, we received a few calls approximately in deserted tent. This is not unusual. Every so often human beings sleep at a friend's camp for an evening and are available back, so we didn't worry an excessive amount of. However, after about 4 days, we had forgotten about the unique tent till a personnel stated it once more, this time citing a very foul scent emanating from it. It became July and very warm, so we started out to make knowledgeable guesses. Over the following few hours, we organized ourselves for the worst. We should smell the tent before we even saw it. I made my buddy unzip it, and whilst he opened it, the stench changed into so foul it nearly knocked me out. As it became out, a person had passed away in the tent. They had additionally defecated throughout it, making the smell otherworldly. We passed the scenario over to the government and did not receive any comply with up. I felt sorry for the individual and questioned how and why they had exceeded away. It ought to have been unhappy to move in the center of the woods. They didn't appear like old, possibly in their mid-30s. This experience made me reconsider my desire of career, as I by no means wanted to locate something like that once more. I was doing a little area work for my master thesis on the local river habitat. I actually have path cameras to catch wildlife. On my way to discover one of my cameras, I heard leaves rustling from the top of the tree, and then a lifeless deer fell from the tree at the floor. I made a few noise and walked away. I concepted changed into both a bobcat or mountain lion, and I didn't want to investigate in case the animal was nonetheless there. As I realized bobcats don't climb on timber to carry their prey, and this become a whitetail that regarded quite heavy. I went there some hours later whilst the carcass changed into long gone as some distance. As mountain lions are involved, we only have rumors of one around our parts and other wild tracks. They were now not near the cameras. As a regulation enforcement range of 30 seasons, I visible a few dumb stuff in the woods and a few frightening stuff. My worst changed into chasing down a man who had escaped from a mental treatment facility. If he became just camping in the deep woods, I would not have had any difficulty with him. However, he was mechanically stealing the gussets of girls' and women's swimsuits left to dry on traces in campgrounds and gasoline cow terriers. The gusset, I'm told, is the cotton, a part of a match that touches the outer labia and pores and skin. It's like a gentle cotton fabric sewn in for hygienic reasons. I'm told one of the Girl Scout moms got here going for walks as much as me as I was on patrol, and informed me she had visible the person run off on foot from the clothesline, so I gave chase. This become within the days before our handheld radios could transmit similarly, then lower back to the truck, so I had one of these older ladies pass and make notifications to my workplace, and like a dummy I took off jogging on the pony path where I might see sparkling prints. I ran 2 miles or so and discovered a makeshift tent and campground installation. I also located cord and a linoleum knife and tape alongside the Ziploc gallon-sized luggage of these gussets. Actually, our thief changed into heading in a new course. I'm satisfied my intervention prevented a taking. My guy got here out of the woods and I drew my service sidearm. For our walk lower back, I had him handcuffed and in leg irons, with a lead dragged so I should trip him through stepping on it. I additionally made him sing the big Name-Spangled Banner as we ran to preserve him out of breath if he decided to fight. When you're that some distance within the woods and uncertain when you have help coming, you want each advantage. My backup met us at the path, and we have been able to hold difficult our prisoner to the mattress of the pickup for the proper to the workplace. I needed to sit down within the bed with him for the ride. He wasn't lots of a chatter. I am a park ranger. There were a few events where I even have genuinely taken the night shift. Most of the time I wrongfully pass out inside the provided bed and wait till my shift ends. This tale virtually takes area. In the course of one of those activities I became fast asleep in the mattress. Even though the bed changed into difficult and failed to alter to my return, I had done my website check and stared on the woods for about a half of hour. But time actions on and my attention wavers, so I came up with sound asleep as one of my solutions to boredom. In and on the spot I realized I was awake and I straightaway sat up in the mattress. Something had woken me up. It was one of those events where something loud takes place but do not manner it in time to register what it was. Something it become. It need to had been long. Glancing closer to my alarm clock I could see that it became 3:21 a.m. I rubbed my eyes of what little sleepiness was still in me and regarded around to peer if perhaps something had fallen. The entirety seemed to be in region, but those lighting fixtures had been off and my nocturnal vision is much less than supreme. I heard something shot at our door. The door turned into huge open flapping inside the wind that ought to have been it. I left the door open a little and a robust gust of wind need to have thrown it open and towards the wall. I guess it wasn't whatever ultimate after all. The gust of wind became now just going through the room and traumatic. My warmth. I rolled off my sheets, hopped off the bed toward the door, and I driven it with a few pressure toward the wall, hoping to recreate the sound and cause a memory. But the door did not even absolutely attain all the way return to the wall, its hinge maintaining it company. I closed the door absolutely this time and went lower back to my stone hard sleeping spot. I was capable of fall. Returned right into a doze pretty fast. Earlier than I become awoken once more by way of what I asked my husband. I was also hiking in Jasper Park, Canada, and we were chatting and passing other hikers. Every 15 or 20 minutes we reach a fork in the road that leads to the summit, then it slowly begins to descend to the other side of the mountain slope, and so on. The trail is next to a gentle one where we hadn't seen anyone since maybe half an hour, and suddenly it was over. The ground begins to shake and there was a rumbling noise, and we both screamed together. We frantically looked around for the source of the noise, but saw nothing. Heard nothing. Like branches breaking down. I thought for sure it was an elk or something, but it wasn't there. The animal was either in front of us or behind us at the trailhead, and we started to make more noise and I started splitting rocks. While we were doing this we saw another couple traveling, and after about 15 minutes we asked if they had heard. He sensed something and they said no, so he warned them they'd better have an animal at the trailhead to find out what it was. At the time, I was working as a gardener and we cover quite a large area, which I will want to keep it private for the sake of anonymity. To give you some context, and there is a large cave, one place we sometimes defend. If you throw rocks in a cave with its typical sound be like a boom, it frightened all the many who came to that place. There were people who would mess up and try to hit, and we used to say that the place was unsafe and warnings were posted to let people know it was useless if you go there and put your life on the line. Surely one day we will get a call saying that someone had seen someone else walk through that cave, and they waited. They never would saw them off, and it was starting to get dark, so we were told of course to start making our way through the darkness of the night, already very afraid of anyone going into that cave. As we well know, when you go there, things usually don't go well. We start exploring with our flashlights and cords and make our way. I think there was a more cautious approach down the line, as you hiring someone who is familiar with the cave system will not be that difficult, but can be treacherous for them if never put your feet or legs in it, especially on sharp rocks and a few miles down into the cave itself. Hard points that people can just hurt here. To cross over into the future we actually had to scoop a guy who fell and broke them both feet on the descent. It's a deep drop. Just goes to show how stupid it is some people may be to have an area that should not be touched in any area case. Back to the story, we started exploring our way to see if we could seek this child. We began calling him to find out that he was not there. The problem was that I changed into young. I cherished running inside the outdoors. It was my favorite thing to accomplish. That once I signed up to be a park ranger, it became the perfect fit. I've had a number of bizarre things happen to me on the process, most of which are not even well worth citing. Just small things like apparitions or feeling someone in the back of my lower back, turning around and no one there. But there may be one experience that I don't suppose will ever go away my mind. This took place in the little Ranger cabin in which I used to spend a truthful bit of my time writing reports and doing this, that, and the other. Once I wasn't out taking walks and protective the trails, I became there one evening just as it became getting dark, and I heard a noise at the radio. I assume it is my accomplice who's out checking, and after I pay attention the sound is all static and muffled. I ask if everything's all proper. I'm expecting a reaction. After a couple of minutes I begin getting concerned. Is he okay? I recognize there may be no cell carrier right here, but I try him. Besides, he did not get my message and he didn't solution my call now. Not that it went through, so I strive the radio one more time, but it is useless. Approximately 45 minutes skip at this factor without information, and my accomplice must have been lower back by using now after I provided any other half an hour just in case. I don't need to be all over reactive. And while he hadn't come lower back, it turned into nicely and without a doubt. Darkish, I begin getting scared, so I exit to explore the place. We need to cover by using all manner. Is not that huge. We've got some routes that we have to test on, and I pass and inspect the one that he turned into schedule to do. I take my vehicle and away I move. I'm taking walks through the trails looking round, and I cannot see any signal of him. Simply as I'm about to get to halfway factor, passing a river, do I pay attention something. It is the humming of my radio. Norman sounds like static. I push the button and listen. There I was a summer camp counselor for Department of Country Parks when I was in high school. One afternoon I had, as I walked along some paths, when I heard a sound from above falling in the tree, assuming a branch. I glanced up hoping to avoid getting hit, but got a little startled when it was about the angriest dog I have ever seen. Landed 3 feet away from me, bombed into the underbrush, popped up on all fours, and hissed at me like it was my fault that he was clumsy. We looked at each other for a while before, for some reason, I said out loud that I would just go this way, and so I went. No rabies for me, thankfully. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed tonight's spine-chilling camping tales. Your support means the world, and I can't wait to bring you more heart-pounding horror stories soon. Stay safe, stay curious, and until next time, keep the campfire burning. Like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe the channel.